Different, Councillor Turner. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to number 10. We've got reserve revocation, got Carl and Lisselle. Kia ora. Thank you.
Ngā mihi o te ata, kia koutou, e mahi ana au he Team Leader Portfolio Review, ko Kalme Takawingawa, no reira tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koutou, ko Liesl McKeith, toko ingoa, Property Asset Advisor. Today we are seeking approval to submit a request to the Minister of Conservation to revoke the reserve status of 116R Reeves Road, Pakuranga Heights. Disposal of the property has been approved by the Finance and Performance Committee and endorsed by the Howick Local Board. Iwi have been notified and public notification undertaken with no objections received. The adjoining owner has contacted Council expressing his interest in purchasing the property. Further details have been provided in the report and we are ready to take any questions. Kia ora.
Sorry, Councillor Darby.
Thanks, Tim. Hey, I read that there's no submissions on the public notice, but you've just said that the Howick Local Board supports this, but that's in, I think it was in 2020, or is there an updated, updated feedback from the board?
No, there is no updated feedback.
So, Chair, there's a question here. I mean, I generally support this, but I've got a caveat, is that the board feedback is dated 2020. There's a new board in place, and I would expect that we would be getting their feedback, that the current board's feedback.
I think to be fair on the staff, we get the feedback when we make the decision. We made the decision to sell at that point. So they're just doing the process of the sale. But you're right that we shouldn't be probably putting in a...
Sorry, through the chair, if I could just update, expand on my answer. We did not workshop or formally present this property to the board for an updated, for formal feedback, but an information memorandum was sent before we started the reserve revocation process, and there was no feedback.
So just to be clear, an information memorandum was sent to the board, and there was no feedback.
That is correct.
The current board.
To the current local board.
Yeah, I get a bit nervous with those sorts of things. They come back to bite us. You know, the board says, well, we didn't receive that, you know, etc. So there needs to be closure. Just going forward, there needs to be closure on that. I think we need to go back to the relationship manager, if that's what they're called at the board, and go, has that been put before the board? And if the answer is yes, they haven't given me, or, you know, that is the relationship manager, any feedback, then proceed. But I think we just need to make sure that there's closure on, you know, on those particular gateways.
Well, as stated, the board were updated and no feedback was forthcoming.
I think, good point, Councillor Darby. We probably do need maybe in the future an update. But I think as we found with Takapuna Unlock, we had a board approve all the sales. We then, as a council, approved the sales and the board changed and opposed it when we'd already started the process. So it becomes, when these takes some time, that can be the issue. But.
Look, I just want to reiterate, it's actually not okay for boards not to respond. Now, they've got resource. Megan, they've got resource. Those relationship managers should be responding to staff when they go. It's not okay that there's just nothing. So I think that's a management issue to pick up on, to make sure that there is a response. they are very well resourced to treat with the inquiry that comes from the disposal department.
Through the chair, look, I'll absolutely take that back. I think it's a fair point, Councillor Darby. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Darby. And I think with the news approach coming into council, that needs to be addressed. Anyway, the Mayor Brown.
Okay, what worries me about this is we've been trying to get some progress on underutilised land for a long time. So 5 years from when the local board said it was okay, this comes to us. We've just got 1,200 houses we've bought, which fall into the category of things that you want to sell to somebody or other. I need to see a clear process of how we go about things, because I notice it says it takes a long time and we should get on with the Minister of Conservation. It's taken us 5 years to even get this far. I'm going to ask that your office, your title is something or other, Leader of Portfolio Review. Well, the portfolio is pretty big, mate, and I want to see some clear evidence of a process that does not need to come back to the costs and time of the whole board to do a 500 square metre bit of land somewhere or other, when we've got vast acres of stuff. We had a section of the Iki Panuku board before they came in. They chose that they would sell $76 million worth of property, and they sold 10. And that's an indication of something seriously wrong, and that they've only got 2 lines in their report. And so I want to see, brought back to here, how we can get these things going without having to incur the cost of this $10,000 an hour here to run this, and God knows how much time and money got to this stage here. Probably cost worth, I don't know what 550 square metres is worth out there, and nobody wants to buy it anyhow. So can we get a system presented to us that's rational and makes sense and doesn't require all the cost and input from all these people over what is small change?
I think to be fair on the staff, this is our process, not their process. So with the new AUDO and the new property, what's it called? The department, I think we need to, the new council need to make some clear plans and policies, because this is the process we have approved for the staff to do. The other issue with this property is elected members asked for this process to stop and be held, and then it started again through elected member feedback. So I know that staff probably don't want to say that, but we need to be clear that this specific one was stopped by elected members, and then...
Well, I don't remember voting to stop it.
Yeah, so...
Well, that may be, I don't know whether it's our process or their process, but normally we have directions to set and the management come up with a process. And so far, the resulting process...
We can delegate this to staff if we want to, but it's up to us to do that.
I mean, we've got all these people working in property disposal and we've got no result from it. So I think it's not at all unfair to understand what is the process, and can we have a process which doesn't take 5 years before we go to the Minister of Conservation, who'll probably take months himself. And so this is not an effective way, and the staff said they could sell $76 million. I didn't set that, but
Yeah, just
that
to,
figure.
yeah, I know
So
it's
we've
not
got a problem.
yeah,
and I don't
it's
know
not a
how to
great
fight.
way to go back and forth, but just we have had it clear, Mayor, that the issues with
Idiots.
the
Yeah, I
sale
know.
numbers this year were partly of the downtown car park, which came in at a different time, so that's quite a big part of that, and the numbers in the market. These 2 staff members are doing a process that we require of them because we haven't delegated them to do it. I think in the new term, if the new council wants to delegate this process to staff so they don't have to come back, I would love that, because I think that if we've made a decision, then we should allow staff to complete the circle, but we require them to come back and do this step. And I'm happy to talk offline about the elected member intervention on the specific property that has found the staff in a tricky situation.
Are you suggesting that that the board, the governing body interfered, or are you suggesting an individual interfered? And how can that be?
I don't need to go into it now, but
Okay, right,
okay.
but I'm just suggesting that when the staff come up with a budget and don't achieve it, then and there's a need for a change in either policy or process, then we should know that there's a change required. But anything that says 10 out of 76 and then gives a report saying that they got 8 out of 10 things right is a serious, it's unacceptable one way or another, and you just can't collect wages, fail miserably and blame us.
Mayor, I just will, once again, to be fair to the staff here who don't control what you're speaking about, we have made a big call, and the part of Eke Panuku have come into council. That is a big call, and that's a policy change. The 10 to 76 is to do with Eke Panuku of the past. We're now in the future. I think it's up to us to make sure that we set up the parameters for the new departments to do this well. And I think that's what you're saying, but I would say these two staff members are trying their best under the conditions we have given them. And we need to step up and empower our staff to do that work, because we haven't at this time. Megan would like.
And just through the chair, look, we are doing a review of the property portfolio, as you know, and this process will be part of it. So absolutely hear you, Mayor Brown, and we will be working on that with Ian leading that. And thanks to the team for coming and presenting.
Thank you. Councillor Baker.
In an effort to drag us out of a rabbit hole. Is the issue actually that we've got a 50-year-old or nearly 50-year-old piece of legislation that is no longer fit for purpose in terms of when we are trying to, we manage these reserves on behalf of the Department of Conservation, and so there is a 1977 piece of legislation that requires us to go through a certain thing. Is that the issue? That we've got this out of touch piece of legislation that binds you and council?
Well, through the chair, I think that's possibly slightly outside the scope of my report.
Through the chair, I'm happy to answer that. The answer is yes, Councillor Baker. Yep.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Well done, Councillor. So my next question is, bearing in mind this is a piece of tarmac, I asked the two councillors for the local area, do they support this recommendation?
That'll be shown in the vote, Deputy Mayor, I guess. Yeah. Councillor Darby. Well, that's not the process we do.
They can vote, I guess. No, I've just, that particular address has got 2 lots, and I've just noticed that it's just lot 46, so I'm satisfied, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart.
No, thank you. I know this area very, very well, and it's actually like a car park which is used for the businesses there, and if that car park was sold to somebody other than the owner of the businesses, it'd make it very, very difficult for them, because that's where all their deliveries happen, and they've got a gas line there. There's a whole lot of things. So unless you sometimes actually physically go and have a look at the site, you know, sometimes we vote on things and we don't actually understand what the real issues are. And it's a little bit like Angelo Avenue. I'm just going to just quickly, because I won't be talking much more in the rest of the year after this. So it's like
many years.
Many years I'll be resting up. So it's like a little bit like Angelo Avenue and Willoughby Avenue, where our planners had actually planned to allow development to happen at the bottom of Angelo Avenue, the bottom of Willoughby and Angelo, where it's a bit of a floodplain, but nobody had actually, sometimes our planners and different people that are selling stuff, they don't actually go and have a look at what physically go to the property and have a look at what the situation is. So before you do anything, I think they really need to go and have a look, because if this got sold to somebody other than the person that owns all the shops and everything, it'll completely stuff all those shops up. It's just a little bit of concrete parking area. It's where there's that's where all the trucks do their deliveries, and there's gas and all sorts of stuff there. And if that was, so we need to look at all of that too, do the right thing by the people of our communities.
Yep, Councillor Williamson, the question.
Agree with the Mayor about some of our, getting rid of excess property. First of all, I think the only people that will be interested in buying this will be those shops. There's no one else. It's a piece of nothing that you can do anything with. So we should just put it on the market. I would imagine a market force will give you an outcome of one buyer who wants to buy it. So I'm not particularly upset, and I think this is good. But I just want to give an example of some properties that are being disposed in this particular block, a part of the Eastern Busway, and a lady who joins one of the properties has been put to hell in a handbasket. So Councillor Stewart and I went to see her, and it turns out the adjoining house to hers on this lot is owned by Auckland Transport as surplus since the Eastern Busway BC1 opened in 2021. Now, many of you will know what property prices look like in 2021 compared to what's happened to them now. It sat empty for those 4 years. And when I raised it with AT, they said, oh, well, it's nothing to do with us. Iki Panuku do the property disposal. Okay, so I trundled off to Iki Panuku, finally got to the bottom of it. Well, nothing to do with us because AT haven't transferred the title to us yet. Go back to AT, yes, we have. No, we haven't. In the end, it turned out they hadn't transferred the title, and David Rankin got involved, and now the property is going to be able to sold this one house. And why I raise this with you is I don't know how many others are like that. This one was just brought to me as a constituency matter. And we would have got a hell of a good price for that property 4 years ago, and we're going to take a big hit on price for it. And I'd love to know how many other units within that whole Eastern Busway development are sitting on the cooler, not because, so I agree with you, Chairman, that one of the things we've got to learn out of this in the new management structure is not to have two different arms who don't talk to each other and each say what's the other's fault and nothing get done about it. There should be a database where surplus properties bubble to the top really quickly, a manager in charge of it. He's got a period of 3 months from that date, sealed off and signed and ready to go to the market for sale. Done.
And I would, talking to many of our staff, that is exactly what they would hope the process looked like and would love the process to look like. But I think as our discussions yesterday, this is all out of order, this conversation, but as our discussions yesterday at the workshop on the Auckland Transport Reform, I think it would be a clear part of the whatever it looks like post the legislation is that properties automatically become part of the property right across the organisation as opposed to these very complex legal systems that the staff get stuck with. Right.
Can you note that this has been requested for some years? And that's probably why we're having some of the transport reform and CCO reform. So this is not new.
No, I know. This is why I'm glad that we are where we're going. Councillor Ferry.
Kia ora, can I ask an extra question? So can I clarify that in this case, because of the Reserves Act, we actually are in a slightly different legal situation where we can't just do it without, we're bound, as the point Andy made before, we're bound by the Reserves Act. So it's not just a matter of council sorting out its own processes, it is also the legal situation with the Reserves Act, which sits with central government. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that is correct. This is a statutory process that we have to observe.
Cool. Thank you. I will once again just defend staff here. There has been political intervention on this specific site because of the concerns that it wouldn't be sold to the neighbour. And it's processes, legal processes that council has to go through where they can't just pick and choose what something is going to be sold to. It was then removed from the process, and then when the owner said that they're interested in purchasing it, it went back into the process. So it's very difficult for staff when politicians say one thing after a decision's been made. So we just need to be really fair to the staff here on our decisions, which I will say, as Councillor Fletcher's pointed out, probably will be far more straightforward when we have more direct control because there'll be nowhere to hide. Right, I'll get you both to step back, thank you. Would anyone like to move this? Councillor Baker, Deputy Mayor, is there any debate? All those in favour? Any opposed? Thank you. Right, item 11. That was unanimous. Thank you.